Ever wondered if phones are a pet and we're the ones on the leash? It's a funny thought, isn't it? But take a moment and think about it. Have you ever seen someone without their phone in hand, or at least within reach? It's as if we've swapped roles with man's best friend and now our phones are taking us for walks. Picture this, a typical morning. The alarm goes off, and what's the first thing you reach for? Your toothbrush? A cup of coffee? No, it's your phone. Before our eyes are even fully open, we're scrolling through notifications, catching up on missed messages, and checking our social media feeds. It's like our phones have become our morning newspapers, except they're updated every second, and they also have cute cat videos. And then there's the rest of the day. Meetings, study sessions, lunch breaks, even bathroom breaks. Our phones are always there, glued to our hands like a high-tech extension of ourselves. We're so dependent on them that we feel lost without them, as if we've left a part of ourselves behind. It's like we're in a long-term relationship with our phones, but without the romantic dinners and movie dates. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying phones are bad. They're incredibly useful tools that have revolutionized our lives in countless ways. But have we ever stopped to consider if we're using them or if they're using us? Have you ever seen someone trying to quit coffee or sugar? The withdrawal symptoms can be intense. Now, imagine trying to quit your phone. Can you picture the panic, the anxiety, the FOMO? It's enough to make anyone reach for their phone, and the cycle continues. It's like our phones have turned into our life partners, and we didn't even get to say I do. But don't worry, we're all in this together. And remember, acknowledging the problem is the first step to recovery. So let's take that step together, shall we? Because the last thing we want is for our phones to start asking, who's a good human? Just like Sherlock, let's decode the signs of phone addiction. Ever notice how some people act like they've misplaced their kidneys when they can't find their phones? That's sign number 1 of phone addiction. Excessive time spent on the phone. If you're spending more time with your phone than with actual human beings, then my friend, you might just be in a committed relationship with your device. Now, let's talk about sign number 2, feeling anxious without your phone. It's like that feeling you get when you leave your house and you feel like you've forgotten something. Wallet? Check. Keys? Check. Phone? Oh no, panic ensues. It's like leaving a part of you behind. If this is you, then I hate to break it to you, but you're showing symptoms of phone addiction. Moving on to our third sign, ignoring real-life conversations for virtual ones. You're at a family dinner, your aunt is asking you about your life, and all you can think about is the latest meme you saw on Instagram. Or maybe you're on a date, and instead of looking into their eyes, you're busy scrolling through your feed. If this is sounding familiar, then you've got a case of the phone flu. Here's a fun one. Sign number 4. You're using your phone as a bedtime storybook. If the last thing you see at night and the first thing you see in the morning is your phone screen, then you're not just addicted, you're in a full-blown love affair with your device. Let's not forget about sign number 5. You're taking your phone to the bathroom. If your toilet time has turned into a scrolling session, then congratulations, you've caught the mobile mania. So if you're sneezing and your nose isn't running, maybe it's your phone addiction showing up. Don't worry though, there's always a remedy for every ailment, and we'll get to that in our next scene, so stick around. Scene script. Time for some laughter therapy with phone addiction jokes. Now let's dive into the punchlines that our dear friend phone addiction has inspired. Brace yourselves for some laughter-induced belly aches. First up, we have a classic. Why don't cell phones ever get married? Well, it's because they already have too many connections. Talk about being a social butterfly, right? And here we thought our phones were loyal to us. Turns out they're playing the field. Next, we have a clever one. Why did the smartphone go to school? Because it wanted to have better cell coverage. You see, even our phones understand the importance of education, if only they teach us how to survive without them for more than 5 minutes. Am I right? Speaking of survival, here's another one. What do you call a phone that's always out of battery? A die phone. Now, if you're constantly on your phone and it's always gasping for battery life, you might just have a die phone on your hands. Time to invest in a power bank, my friend. Moving on to the next joke. Why don't phones ever get lost? Because they always ring a bell. Well, if only our brains worked as efficiently as our ringtone when it comes to remembering important dates or deadlines. Finally, here's a relatable one. What do you call someone who spends too much time on their phone? An app-dict. If you're spending more time scrolling through apps than talking to actual people, you might just be an app-dict yourself. But hey, don't stress too much. We're all a bit app-dicted in our own ways, aren't we? It's the 21st century after all. The era of smartphones and not-so-smart decisions. So there you have it, folks. A series of jokes that highlight the funny side of our phone addiction. It's always good to have a chuckle about our modern-day predicaments. And remember, laughter is the best medicine, unless your phone battery is dead. In that case, a charger is your best bet. Who knew our phone addiction could be this hilarious? Now let's turn the tables on our phones. It's time to flip the script on our phone dependency and take back control. Here are some witty yet practical tips to help you do just that. Let's start with a simple one. How about dating a book instead of your phone? Yes, a book. That old-school device that doesn't beep, buzz or flash notifications at you. It's a great way to spend quality time without your phone. And who knows, you might even fall in love with the written word again. Next, why not try cheating on your phone with a real-life conversation? Yes, it might sound scandalous, but bear with me here. Instead of texting or calling, try having a face-to-face conversation. It's a great way to connect with people on a deeper level. And let's face it, emojis can never truly replace the warmth of a genuine smile or the comfort of a friendly hug. Another humorous but effective tip is to treat your phone like a clingy ex. You know, the one who just can't take a hint. Set boundaries, limit your interactions, and don't be afraid to put it on silent mode or even turn it off entirely. Remember, it's your phone, not the other way around. And lastly, if all else fails, you can always resort to some good old-fashioned bribery. Reward yourself for spending less time on your phone. Whether it's a treat, a trip to the movies, or even an extra hour of sleep, find something that motivates you to put down your phone and engage with the world around you. So there you have it, folks. Some light-hearted tips to help you overcome your phone addiction. Remember, it's not about completely eliminating your phone from your life, but rather finding a healthy balance between the digital and the real world. Remember, the best way to outsmart your phone is to use it less than it uses you. Before we say goodbye, let's wrap up with a laugh. So, we've taken a whimsical journey through the land of phone addiction, haven't we? We've seen the ubiquitous phone addicts, those folks who can't seem to look up from their screens. Even when crossing the road, it's like they've developed a sixth sense for avoiding potholes and lampposts. If only they could apply that level of skill to their cooking. Then we encountered the signs of phone addiction, remember? Those subtle and not so subtle indicators that your phone is slowly becoming your Siamese twin. Like when you're frantically searching for your phone while you're talking on it. Or when you wake up in the middle of the night to check your phone, just in case your friend has updated their status to sleeping. Oh, and who could forget the funny side of phone addiction? Like when you're so engrossed in your phone that you accidentally walk into a closed door. Or when you've scrolled so far down on your social media feed that you've reached the birth of the internet. We also shared some tips to overcome phone addiction, like setting specific phone-free hours, or using a good old-fashioned alarm clock instead of your phone to wake you up. And remember, just because your phone has a bedtime mode doesn't mean it should actually be in bed with you. But let's face it, folks, we're all a little bit addicted to our phones. They're our lifelines, our personal assistants, our entertainment systems, and our connection to the world. But remember, they're also just devices, not an extension of ourselves. So, next time you reach for your phone, remember, it's just a device, not a life partner. Unless, of course, it starts taking half of your bed and snores.